All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to travel way, way back in time, over 2,500 years ago to be precise. Picture this. A monk named Rādha approaches the Buddha. And he's not there for small talk. He comes with some of the biggest questions you can possibly ask. What are we? And what is this force that seems to govern our life and our death?
So these were his questions. So simple, but wow, they cut right to the very heart of the human experience. What is this Mara, this killer, this force of death that hangs over everything? And maybe even more importantly, what are we? What does it even mean to be a being? The Buddha's response would set up a whole new framework that could totally change how we see ourselves.
Now, the Buddha doesn't just give a straight answer right away. Instead, he offers a tool, a new way of seeing things, a kind of framework for analyzing every single moment of our lives. This is where we get the teaching of the 5 aggregates, or as it's called in the original Pali, the khandha.
First up, we've got rupa, which we translate as form. This is basically everything physical. The device you're watching this on, the chair you might be sitting in, and this is the key part, your own body. It's the whole material world, everything both inside and outside of your skin. Pretty straightforward, right?
Next on the list is Vedana, or feeling. Now, this is really important. We're not talking about complex emotions like love or jealousy here. This is the raw, gut-level sensation that happens the instant our senses make contact with something. Is it pleasant? Is it unpleasant? Or is it just neutral? That's it. Vedana is that immediate, unfiltered flavor of any experience. So, building on that raw feeling, we have the third aggregate, sanya, or perception. This is the part of your mind that slaps a label on everything. It's the process that recognizes that's a tree, or identifies a taste as salty, or categorizes an experience as good or bad. This is where all our concepts and memories jump into the game. Okay, the fourth one, sankhara, is a big one. We call it mental formations. This covers all of our reactions to what we've just perceived. It includes our thoughts, our biases, our intentions, our habits, our decisions, the whole shebang. This is the really active, driving part of the mind that shapes our character and pushes us to act. And that brings us to the fifth and final piece of the puzzle, vijnana, or consciousness. Think of this as the fundamental awareness that basically lights up the whole show. It's not what you're aware of, but the basic capacity for awareness itself. Without vijnana, you couldn't even experience the other 4. It's like the screen that the movie of your life is projected onto. So, there's our toolkit. Form, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. Now that we have this new lens, let's go back and take another look at Radha's huge questions, because the answers, when you see them this way, are pretty mind-blowing.
All right, Radha's first question. He wanted to understand Mara. It's often translated as some kind of demon, but what it really gets at is death, or the killer. Where is this thing? What is it? And the Buddha's answer, which we find in the scripture SN23.1, is just radical. Mara isn't some monster hiding under the bed. Mara, the killer, is the 5 aggregates. It's right here. It's present wherever there is form, feeling, perception, mental formations, or consciousness. Because these very components of who we are, by their very nature, are born and are destined to fade and die.
Okay, that's a heavy thought. So, if the very building blocks of our experience are the killer, then what does that make us? What is a being? What is this I that feels so real and so solid? Well, the answer is just as profound. According to SN23.2, a being, a self, isn't a thing, it's a process. It's the act of craving, of grasping, of clinging to these 5 ever-changing processes. Our whole sense of me is built and sustained by our attachment to our body, our feelings, our labels, our thoughts, and our awareness. So if we're this bundle of processes, what are they actually like? The Buddha then explains that if we look really, really closely at each of these 5 aggregates, we'll find that all of them share 3 basic fundamental characteristics. These are known as the 3 marks of existence. First, they are anicca, impermanent. Everything is constantly changing, always in flux. Nothing is static. Second, because they're always changing, trying to cling to them as if they're permanent is dukkha. It's inherently unsatisfying, stressful, and leads to discontent. And third, they are anatta, not self. There's no permanent, unchanging CEO sitting in a control room in your head. They are just impersonal processes popping up and fading away based on conditions. So here's the crucial point.
If our sense of self is really just the act of clinging to these 5 impersonal, shifting processes, and that clinging is the very thing that causes stress, then what's the way out?
To explain this, the Buddha uses this wonderful analogy. He says our attachment to these 5 aggregates is like children playing with sandcastles. They love them, they build them, they fiercely protect them. But what happens when they get bored, when their passion for the sandcastles fades? They just scatter them with their hands and feet and walk away totally free.
So you see the comparison? A being is defined by that intense clinging, the feeling that you have to guard the sandcastle of yourself. A liberated mind, on the other hand, is defined by the end of that clinging. It sees the sand for what it is, just sand, and is no longer trapped by it. And you know what? There's a clear path for this. It all starts with seeing things as they really are, seeing those 3 marks of impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and not self in every moment. This leads to a kind of weariness, a dispassion for the endless cycle of grasping and letting go. As that grows, craving just naturally fades away, and that leads to release, and that final release is the goal, nibbana.
Ultimately, it all boils down to this one simple, powerful statement, right from the text. The destruction of craving, Rādha, is nibbana. See, it's not about gaining something new or going somewhere else. It's about letting go of what was never really ours to hold on to in the first place.
And so, that leaves us with a final, pretty deep question to reflect on. If everything we call me and mine, our body, our feelings, our perceptions, our thoughts, are all just temporary, impersonal processes, like waves on the ocean, then what is it exactly that we're holding on to so tightly? It's definitely a question worth exploring. Thanks for digging into this with us.